Hey guys, today's learning objective is in blue and we are learning to solve quadratic equations, and then in brackets I've got that they're already factorized. So today's key bit, we're looking at quadratic equations, ones which are already factorized. And one of the key messages I'm looking to get across in today's video is the two criteria that you need to solve a quadratic equation. And I just want to note, this is for us kind of right now in our class. There are going to be other ways to solve quadratics when you get to more advanced levels of mathematics. But at the moment, these are the two criteria we need to know. So the first one is your quadratic, it must be factorized. If it's not factorized, you're not going to have a good time. You won't be able to solve this. And your equation must be equal to 0. So it must be equal to 0. And I'll explain what I mean by these two just through some quick examples. So let's have a look. Question number 1. So let's say I've got a double bracket. So this here is an equation. So we can see our equal sign. We've got something on the right-hand side, which in this case is a 0. We've got something on the left-hand side, in which case is a already factorized quadratic, and just linking that to our learning objective. Today we're only going to focus on questions which are already factorized. We will eventually move on to types of questions which will need factorizing or will need simplifying to do that. Hopefully you can see with this quadratic, yes, it is factorized, and yes, it is equal to 0. When it looks like this, you can go ahead and solve it. So this 0 here on the right-hand side is actually really, really important. So if this 2x plus, x plus 2, if that is equal to 0, you're going to have x plus 4 times 0, and that will always be 0, because anything times 0 is 0. Which means we need x plus 2 to be equal to 0. So hopefully you can see what I mean by that. And the same is true for the opposite, if x plus 4 is equal to 0. So if x plus 4 is equal to 0, 0 times the x plus 2 is also going to be 0. So what we're trying to say here, and this is why there's two solutions, if either bracket is 0, 0 times the other bracket is going to be 0. And here we've got two linear equations, linear 1, linear number 2. We're then going to go ahead and just finish solving these. So we're going to have minus 2, minus 2. So x1 equals negative 2. And I've written that x1 because that's the first answer of x. We're then going to do the same here, x2. Oh, actually, let's do our steps first. That's going to be minus 4, minus 4. Can't forget my working, that's really important. x2 is equal to negative 4. And that there is the second answer of x. Hopefully that made a bit of sense. Let's have a look at another question as well. We'll make this one a bit harder. Let's say we've got 3x minus 4, 7x plus 1. Let's say that there is equal to 0. So we know if the first part is equal to 0, the equation will be balanced because 0 times 7x plus 1 will still be 0. So that means if 3x minus 4 is equal to 0, we're going to have an equation that balances, and the same for the second portion as well. So we've got 7x plus 1 equals 0. We're going to go ahead and solve both of these equations. So we're going to go plus 4 plus 4. So that means 3x will be equal to 4. We're then going to go divide by 3, divide by 3. And that means x will be equal to a fraction, which is 4/3. And we're going to do the same for our second answer. Oh, actually, I should note, that's x1 because that's our first answer of x. We're then going to have minus 1, minus 1. So 7x will be equal to negative 1. We've then got divide by 7, divide by 7. And we've got x is equal to negative 1 over 7. And just going to note, that's our second answer of x. So I'm going to put a little 2 over there. So hopefully you can kind of see the pattern, the themes emerging. If it's factorized, basically split it off into its two parts and solve the two equations. And I'm just going to change pen color. We're just going to do one final type of variation of question, which I see students sometimes have issues with. So let's say instead of having a double bracket, we've just got x's out front. So in this case, we've got 3x. I just want to note this here is a part. So this is the first part. So if this 3x equals 0, the whole equation is balanced. And then the same for the second part, if x plus 1 is equal to 0. So hopefully you can see that's the first part, that's the second part. We're still forming two equations based on them like we did. So we're then going to go divide by 3, divide by 3. So that means the first answer of x will be 0 because 0 divided by 3 is 0. And we're then going to go minus 1, which means the second answer of x will be negative 1. So hopefully you found this video useful. We're trying to do them a bit shorter. We've got a couple of examples. Key thing is make sure it's factorized. Make sure it's equal to 0, and then all you got to do is split them up into their two equations.